All right, what's up, y'all? So look, the other day I made a video talking about whether women are biologically weaker or if it's socialized, right? Is if it's socialization, and I personally think that it's socialization. Now, here's the thing: I think that society tells women to go down certain pathways, so they end up choosing professions that don't require strength. They end up doing like they end up staying away from certain things that would develop their strength and develop their size and all of that. Now, now here's the okay. So, yeah. Now another thing, I think that even the biological factors that make men stronger than women are in a way socialized. Because here's the thing: I think for hundreds of years or thousands of years even, men have always selected partners that were smaller than them. So women being shorter than 5'5" has become the norm because those were the women that were selected. Women being 130 pounds or lighter have become the norm because they were the ones that were selected, right? Now, are there women that above those numbers? Of course. But what ends up happening is if you have 20 generations where all the women in your family were specifically, 5'3", 5'1", like 120 pounds, 110 pounds, this is going to be passed down genetically, right? And if nobody ever bothered to train, then like genetically, like that's going to be passed down as well. So I do think that if let's say we went back to like the year 300 and for some reason all the dudes were just super into muscle mummies, there was like no, like you need to be built like a brick house for me to take you home. It's it's like we didn't even have brick houses yet. Like the girl was the brick house. So, but if that was to have happened and that was to have been the norm from then till today, then women being 6 foot tall and 200 pounds at like 20% body fat, 25% body fat would be the norm today, right? Women being super strong would be the norm today. Women would probably have a skeletal structure that looks slightly different than what we would see today because they evolved in a different way. And I'm not saying like dinosaurs to chickens type evolve, but like we have science that shows that evolution could happen in 4 generations. Like there was that experiment with the foxes where they took foxes and they only bred the runts for 4 generations, and by the fourth generation it was no longer a fox, it was a domesticated dog. They had floppy ears and the tail changed, it was a completely different species, right? So we do know that you can evolve in 4 generations when eugenics is involved. So imagine what can happen in 20 or 40 generations, right? So the reality. So now I'm not saying that this is like. So I hope that you understand what I'm trying to say because I'm. This does not mean that today's women are stronger or as strong as men. This just means that um, that the reason that they're weaker is because of the way we socialize them, the things that we said to them and the things that we pretty much pushed upon them, right? If it wasn't for that, then they would be stronger. And that led me to finding out a little bit more about the strongest woman, and I was looking into Andrea Thompson. Now we look like, for instance, she has like a lot of really strong lifts. The most impressive one was the hammer tire deadlift, um, which she hit like over 800 pounds, and that's right up there with the dudes. Like the dudes are getting about the same amount of weight out of that movement that she is. Now we also have to remember something else though. She's only 5'5" and 265 pounds, right? So when we're looking at the world's strongest men that we currently know, like the world's strongest men of today are like 6'4", like 6'4" to 6'9", somewhere from like they're somewhere from like 320 to 400 pounds, right? So now, if Andrea Thompson is only 5'5" and 265 pounds, what would happen if she was a foot taller and 100 pounds heavier? Clearly, that lift would have went up. All of her lifts would have went up. It might not be linear, but all of her lifts would have increased somewhat, right? And another big factor that sometimes we forget to address is that we sometimes say, oh, well, even in the extreme end, the world's strongest men is going to be stronger than the world's strongest woman. But I don't think that we can compare those two, because once you're in that bracket, you're on testosterone automatically. You're on steroids. You're probably going to be on multiple substances, right? So now the what it really comes down to is who took what and when, and what was their regiment like, right? Because even if we say, okay, the world's strongest man is on steroids, but the world's strongest woman is also on steroids, but we don't know how much. What if the man was taking double the amount that she was, right? So that's going to be another whole big monkey wrench, because how are you going to take the world's strongest man and use that as a comparison for what men are capable of when they're not even natural? They're not natural, so that's not what a man is capable of. That is what a man on drugs is capable of, right? And I'm not here to judge the drugs, the usage of it, or any of that. It's just that if we're really trying to figure out the answer to this question, then either the man and woman would have to take the same exact drug, and even that is not fair, because some people are more, what's it called, um, like some people have a better response to the drug, so that you could have two dudes that take the same amount of testosterone, and one dude, like, does gets double the gains as the other dude, because this dude, like, is able to process it better, like his body, like, is sensitive to the testosterone, right? So the only thing that you could really do, it would be naturals, right? You would have to see what's the world's strongest natural man and the world's strongest natural woman, right? And then see what happens there. Now, I assume there's going to be some differences, because at the end of the day, women do have lower testosterone, and testosterone is such a big part of what decides how strong you are and stuff, like your capabilities when it comes to strength. So there's probably going to be some disparity there, but even if we can't arrive at a definitive men and women are just as strong as each other, what I would say, I think that the hill I would like to stand on for the moment would be, um, people can be bigger and stronger than other people, and it all depends on many different factors. But sex is not as big of a factor as you would think. That's as much as I would go, right? I think that there's probably other factors that are more important, because a woman with really good genetics, that's like she was built to get strong, is probably going to get stronger than the average dude with shitty genetics, right? So, so I think genetics, and like, when I say genetics, it might sound like I'm saying biology, but I'm not talking about a general biology, like women are like factors that make somebody a female, right? I'm talking about, like, genetically, like, most likely, like, strength was something that was passed down through your bloodline, right? Like, this is something that was present for many generations, and it became some sort of genetic thing. I don't know how to explain it very well, because I'm not whatever the fuck the people are that talk about that stuff is. But point is, I do feel that the what's it called? I do feel that the disparity between females and males when it comes to strength would shrink dramatically if women were socialized to seek that out, right? Um, yeah, that's pretty much as far as I could go. But I do think that a woman my size that does the same thing that I do, eats the same way that I eat, that does everything that I'm doing, is most likely gonna get just as strong as me. Now there is a little factor that might not make that 100% like even, just the fact that I'm already there. So if they started now, by the time they reached me, I would already be like 100, like I would be lifting 100 to 200 pounds heavier than what I'm lifting right now, right? You know, like if a woman starts lifting today, and she's benching like 100 and like I don't know, like 100 pounds, right? I'm already at 350, 335. Like by the time she gets to 335, I should probably be in like the 400 range, like 450 around there, right? Um, but yeah, and it is possible for women to bench over 225. Like I've seen it. It all comes down to, are you willing to train for it? And it, like, and that's what it ultimately really comes down to, because just because women could be just as strong as men, and just because, if like so if we directed socialization for them being bigger and stronger and all of that, that doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do. Ultimately, it's up to the woman if she wants to go down that path or not. And I think that's kind of the idea of feminism. It's not about, oh, women are currently physically weaker because of socialization, and here are all the factors that show it. Therefore, we need to start normalizing women getting stronger and sort of push them down this path where they're all getting just as strong as the men, and blah 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 blah. Like that is way too much prescription, right? Because now we're saying the fact that they are currently weaker than men is a bad thing. Therefore, we need to push them to start training for strength and to become stronger than men. Um, and I feel that telling women stay where you are, and telling women, no, you need to do this thing so that you're better than them at this, are both kind of dumb. Because the whole point of the like feminism is for the woman to have autonomy and sovereignty. So ultimately, it's not about telling them to go down this path so that they can, like so that the statistics could change, so that the numbers can change. It's more about allowing them to choose for themselves what path they want to go down, and not creating an environment where society tries to pressure you out of doing so. So if there are women that want to go down the path where they're going to get stronger, and eventually they're going to be just as muscular and just as what's it called, strong as men, like if they want to go down that path, then they should be allowed to do so without anybody pressuring them not to. But yeah. So ultimately, telling them don't do it or you have to do it are both equally as bad. The point is for the option to be there, and if y'all want to do that, then you're perfectly capable and able to do that. Like even when it comes to men, it's only like 5% of men that decide to get freakishly strong. Most men are still benching like 335, right? Like like even 335. I've seen guys in their teens and early 20s, like, and they're benching like somewhere between 95 pounds and 155 pounds, And it's not like, not everybody's going to want to go down this path. So to assume that they will is kind of silly. What we need to do is just allow people to choose for themselves what they want. All right, yo.